share something with you? I did. I'm really passionate about voting. I said, let's get it. But I won't be able to vote until I'm 21. Now, this is senior high school, just turned 18. I said, well, I won't be able to vote when you're 18. You may have voted for an 18 because there's civic votes. You can vote at school. And he goes, you should have learned that in government. You're getting ready to graduate. You took government. You should know this. I didn't take government. I said, well, you better check the transcript because you won't vote. State law, you have to have government before you graduate. Oh, I didn't take government. Another girl behind me said she didn't either. You're not going to graduate either. What's going on here? And then it hit me. Guess how they take in government? They didn't even know that they had taken government. So they taken it. Saved the school district a lot of money and didn't pay teachers. Now, Iowa is going to go follow down this path, the money saving, which is what gutting this bill is going to be all about. It's all about money. These are the kids that we will graduate. And we will have a state like Tennessee, which just had to admit that 28% of the people who just graduated actually didn't graduate. You guys read this?
I did.
Yeah. Essentially, they didn't meet the requirements that were necessary. And the voters of the state of Iowa just found out. Now, I have a lot of pride in what I do. And I think there's a lot of people in the state of Iowa that will have a lot of pride in their schools. Because
You're right.
I wonder what's going to do with mine. I was substituting in a young teachers who just got started a couple years ago. Elementary school, never taught an elementary class in my life. In fact, getting in their substitute teaching was like, whoa, this is what work. Just little kids command your attention. He was magnificent. I watched this man teach. You pivot. And I wonder how long he's going to stay in the profession. It's scary.
I'd like to comment on that. I'd like to comment on something that I said in the House floor, and so I'm not ashamed to say it again, is that it's been confirmed to me, I didn't know this, but it was brought to my attention that there are van loads of representatives from the school system in Texas, who has no collective bargaining, by the way, that come to Iowa, and they go to all of our schools, UNI, Iowa State, Iowa, all the other 25 plus schools that have education programs, like Upper Iowa, just up the road.
32 programs.
Yes, 32 programs, thank you. And they come in and they say, you're one of the best teachers, some prospects out of the school. Tell you what, you come to Texas, we'll pay you $20,000 more than the highest paid first year teacher in the state of Iowa. We'll give you a $10,000 signing bonus. All right? And if you come down there, within the first year, we'll pay off all your student loans. And if you need it, we'll provide you free housing. This is what we're competing with in Iowa for our best and brightest teachers. Three years ago, we talked about raising the base pay for teachers because we wanted to attract the best and the brightest. This, what's been going on here recently, does not gather the best and the brightest. And I went to Des Moines to be a bipartisan legislator. And it's been commented before, well, you ride on the boat or you drive the boat. I've been put on a little gummy on the side of the boat. Because this bill, they got no input from anybody on my side of the aisle. We stood there and talked passionately about it. You mentioned debate. There wasn't no debate. It wasn't a debate. We just got a chance to talk for a while, and that was that the mind had already been made up long before that. Politics is not what Iowa deserves.
Yeah, no.
You know, there's a lot of attacks going on here. You know, I have met and spoke with Congressman Blum a bunch of times. Craig Johnson, I'm getting to know him. You know, people are attacking he didn't read stuff. going to Republican deals last year during the election. I got a friend of mine that's like a father figure to me, couldn't be here today. I was in the vehicle with the retired school teacher that's not for the, he's glad it's passed, everything. Senator Johnson made numerous calls to this retired teacher and business owner, asking questions, getting insight, where to go. So before you judge all these gentlemen up there and just accuse them, there's a lot of stuff you don't see behind the scenes. And I know people get angry, but there's, I wouldn't know these things about Craig if I wasn't there. I don't know all what was said, but he's reaching out to people, making connections that we don't see, trying to do the best for the state of Iowa. So we need to give all of these people a chance. And I know there's a lot of mixed emotions in here, but just let them speak, and we voted him in.
Craig is my neighbor. I like Craig as a person. Goes to my church. Love his wife. Awesome. She's great to my kids. I'm not here to attack him personally until I'm attacked personally. Okay? Craig, I'm glad you're reaching out to some people, but it appears to be people that are supportive of that bill. I emailed you several times. You and I met a couple of times. We had good conversations. At that point, you weren't even sure why we were going after collective bargaining. You didn't even know there was a problem. You still haven't answered my question about what the problem was that they were trying to solve. I haven't heard that yet. And I asked you a couple of times to please find that out. What problem are we solving? Okay, so this isn't about attacking anybody. This is about holding people accountable for their decisions. Because these decisions affect Iowans in deep, deep ways. And I think that holding them accountable is what we're going to need to do in order to get some more partisan style legislation. Bipartisan, yeah, sorry. Bipartisan. That's what I mean. So unless we hold people accountable and ask the questions and make them talk to the people that maybe aren't supporting what their party wants, that's not going to get done. So we've got to get people going to Des Moines to represent their constituents and not their party.
I'd like to ask the gentleman a question, and this isn't towards anything to do with union or, I want to know what you guys envision Iowa education system to be in 10, 20 years. Are you looking to be every county having its school system? Because basically you're looking to break the local school districts where they got to keep consolidating bigger and bigger. And I'm just curious, like it was brought up before, what problem was this that we have to destroy our school systems to fix it? Are our corporations that greedy that they got to have all this money? Did we need that fertilizer plant down south? I want to know what you think education will be in 10 to 20 years after all these changes are made. After we've supported all these homeschool kids, and there's nothing against homeschool kids. That's great. Another problem with the, even if these kids are being homeschooled, if they want to play football or basketball, they get to go off to the school. They get to go out to Wapsie Valley School and play basketball or football or have speech or whatever. That's got to be provided for them. They do have to pay for it. I understand that. But that Wapsie Valley still has to have that door open for them. And the money is going to get cut from all the other kids, from all the other programs. So what do you guys envision schools to be after all these cuts?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about ESAs.
Oh, can I say one more thing? I'm looking at this as a...
By the way, I've got to leave at 11 o'clock to go to...
I'm looking... Give me a chance to talk. Don't interrupt me, sir. I'm looking at this as an economic development situation. Fairbank, where I'm from, we just built a elementary school. And if our school ends up getting consolidated with Owine or Waterloo or Waverly or Independence, what's that school gonna be? That's gonna be shuttered doors. I got a home, how do I sell that home to somebody that's gonna have to drive 20 miles to take their kids to school? Or they're gonna have to ride a bus 40 minutes every day, for an hour every day.
We're gonna have to wrap this up. You guys make a comment on this and then. Yeah, we will, but they've gotta leave at 10 o'clock, whether you want it or not, they're leaving.
Well, let me ask quickly.
This meeting was sponsored by us. We're paying the bill on this meeting. If you guys want your own meeting, you go ahead. But we've got,
I'm a teacher, man. God bless you for sponsoring meetings. But the Farm Bureau, which I have been a part of for 20 years, has a responsibility to listen to everyone.
yeah, but
And they have a meeting.
I respect that. I respect that.
You're taking up his time, let him answer the
I would
Hey,
love to
you
hear
guys go
Mr.
ahead.
Bright Box response.
go ahead.
Okay. First of all, ESAs may not realize this, but there's a lot of Republicans and Democrats that do not support ESAs, especially in the current form. If we adopted the ESAs that I've seen, well, I haven't even actually seen the proposal, just what I've heard about. We can't afford it. I mean, and it would be one of the richest.
Vouchers.
Okay, educational savings account. What it's a voucher type system, but it's not actually a voucher because the money actually goes to the parents and they have to give it to the school. Anyway, the school is their choice. Number one, the proposal that I've heard would be one of the highest ESA systems in the United States. Highest cost. We can't do that. So anyway, I can't support that bill. So just so you know, just don't you think that all of us don't do that. Now back to his point, he is wondering what we foresee in the next 10, 20 years, okay? You have to understand, if we don't change how we fund our schools in Northeast Iowa, we're in trouble. You know why? Because we've got declining enrollment. The monies that go to our schools is based on the number of students that you have. We've had continued declining enrollment. So if I say, okay, we're gonna increase funding to schools by 6% this year, you know how much most of my schools get? 1%. Why? Because they've got declining enrollment. So unless we tackle that inequities problem, our smaller schools with declining enrollments are going to continue to suffer, and every one of my school districts is in that same situation. So it's a problem, and I understand that problem. Now, one of the things that's going to happen next week is we're going to have a transportation equity bill that's going to come forward. You say, Mike, what is that? I expect, and it's also going to take an equity position on some schools get $175 more per student than other schools. That's not fair. Why should they get more? This bill is going to try to equate that out, because our rural districts have to pay for the transportation costs for our kids to and from school. That comes directly out of their curriculum dollars. That's not fair. You get an urban district, they get $6,500 for a student. They can use all of that money to pay for their students' curriculum. We can't. We've got school districts that pay over $1,100 per student to transport their kids. This bill that we're going to see on the floor, I'm hoping that we'll see it on the floor next week, going to address that. I'm hoping that we can put another $38 million into our education system that will directly affect our rural schools, and I want to increase that at the transportation end of that, $25 million every year increase for the next 10 years, so that at the end of 10 years, we're putting $250 million into transportation. Our schools will move their transportation costs out of the curriculum area, over in the transportation area. That will give our school districts more curriculum dollars to spend on their teachers, their textbooks, things like that. I think